or without, with or without.
Today I'm going to show you how I took a theme of Heartbreak and turned that into an indie pop song, similar to artists like Joe and Steve Lacy. My name is Fred. I write, produce, and release music as Hara. Let's take a quick look and see what our session is all about. For this song, I collaborated with another songwriter. Her name is Rhonda Hark, who is an incredible songwriter out on the East Coast. So what I wanted to show you here first is what the demo sounded like. So we took about an hour and 20 minutes. We basically just wrote the chords, the melodies, the lyrics. So let me just press play and show you what this demo originally sounded like. I'll also share this lyric sheet that we had. We were putting in chords, lyrics, and the structure of the song. What I want to do next is show you how I started to do that. I know it has a lot of tracks, but it's really just a few instruments. We got drums, bass, keys, guitars, synths. Did I say that already? And vocals. Very simple start and verse. It's just a rim shot and a kick drum. So after that first verse, I'm bringing in a little bit more energy and I'm adding an additional kick and a snare. So the frequencies that are in these drum sounds shift a little bit. We go into a pre-chorus. There's this kind of a like hand clap sort of thing going on here. Low end energy and that kick, and then there's an actual snare drum with that rim, and then here I added some of my own open hi-hat hits in there. The hi-hats that I had programmed in there just felt really rigid, really a little too perfect. It kind of feels a little more like a metronome, even though drums kind of help keep time, right? But in this case, I felt like it needed a little bit more room to kind of get this like swaying feel to it a little bit. So something that I did here was track the hi-hat on my own drum set. So to me, this feels a little bit more kind of like relaxed. The snare and the kicks are on the grid, but I feel like with the hi-hat being a little bit ahead of it, it kind of seems a little more flowy than. So basically, if I have my hi-hat here, here's the edge of the hi-hat. So if I am on like a downbeat or like a heavy kind of like anchor of the measure, I'm probably going to use more of the shoulder of the stick here. And as I go up, I'm going to probably use the tip of the stick here so that I go 1 and 2 and boom, cat, boom, cat, boom. That's kind of what the vibe is of the drums in this song. Of course, you got to do the live shakers.
With or without, with or.
I know when using auxiliary percussion, there's a lot of MIDI stuff out there that you can manipulate and modulate a whole bunch of things and have some really cool results. Sometimes for me, I think it's faster to just bust out the shakers that I have and have like a microphone like this. I think maybe I did record it with this mic. I did 2 takes of shakers here, and that's what we have here, and I just panned them both.
With or without, with or without, with or without, yeah.
There's always opportunities here to blend some of like the sampled one-shot stuff and then incorporate some performances into that. So that was the drums for you. Let's see, what do we got for bass? So this is basically all the bass that's happening in the song. It's essentially just a electric bass that I performed, DI in this case, and I used the Dark Glass Ultra by Neural DSP. A lot of these gray clips here, a lot of them really just means that there's stuff in there, you'll see, but they are muted. So if I click Command M, I can unmute them and I can see what happened there. And this is because I'm absolutely scared of deleting things. Maybe I liked it, so I performed it, and then after hearing it, I'm like, that's not the place for that. But later on, as we get in through the production of the song, maybe we're at a different instrument or a top line changes, maybe there's a little bit of more space in that section there. And one of the first things I'll do is I'll unmute some of the things that I performed that maybe weren't working before, but now maybe can work there now. That's kind of my reasoning for keeping these muted sections here. But that's just me. If you want to delete stuff, you go ahead and do it. In the choruses, I really wanted something to hit a little bit more. Here, let's see what it sounds like. So let's hear it again with the 808. So if you're watching this like on your phone without headphones, you're like, I didn't hear any difference at all whatsoever. And that's okay. Looking at all the pieces together, it does add that energy, and that's exactly what I was hoping to do in this section. We got a few tracks here for keys. For that sound, I used Baby Audio. It's freaking awesome. Check them out. Always start with presets, mess around with them. That's how I like to do it. Sound design is awesome, but sometimes want to find some of these sounds so that you can continue to move forward in building the song rather than stopping and say, this sound needs to be perfect now before I can continue. I've done that so many times before, and a lot of songs that I did do that way, I'm so sad to say that I never finished them, and they're in a hard drive somewhere. I don't know where they are. Anywho, all right. What else we got? We have more in the bridge. So this is a little more quiet, and it's giving a little bit of, it's kind of like lifting up the instrumental part of the bridge here. And this is because in this section, there's only guitars and vocals with these keys. Of course. And these are the sounds of the verses. Wow, cool. I didn't add any synth stuff under the choruses. At some point I noticed that, and that's when I picked up the guitar, and that's probably why I was so influenced to just add a bunch of guitar stuff. So let's look into the guitar stuff next. A lot of these guitars, I also use Neural DSP for my guitar stuff. If you're not familiar, please go out and check out this Neural DSP, the Archetype, Corey Wong. Super, super cool. The Pop Rig. Part of what I did here also was mess with some of the effects. So a lot of this like spring reverb. It almost sounds like little like water droplets after each kind of pluck in the background. So we go from this kind of like darker muted thing to these like beachy strung out chords. And then I kind of blend both of them on top of each other. That is the exact same chords played much higher on the neck. It's literally doing nothing. It's set at 0. Maybe I was messing with it at some point and I turned it off and I was like, I don't like it. Oh no, I'm much more deliberate than that, it seems. Oh wait. Ha! Filter Freak and the Phase Mistress are kind of doing the same mixing move to turn it off by that point. Okay. Let me show you what I really liked about the original demo. With the guitar, I'm able to kind of stay on a chord longer. It feels a little more natural on guitar, especially when I was kind of playing it. But at some point, I was like, I want to use that arpeggiated theme, and in the bridge, that's exactly the opportunity that I got.
By just delayed, just delayed.
From the original demo, those arpeggiated chords, I took that element and I put it on guitar and used it for the end of the bridge. Little things like that kind of make it for me. So from there, lastly, here are some of the vocals. We got some background vocals, we got some harmonies, and we have some doubling of the main line. It's so funny. I wanted this very soft sound for the vocals, and I was given this idea to also whisper the melody, and if I stay, we'll end up in the same by itself. I feel silly showing it, actually. Do you know anyone that does whisper tracks? I think I'm going to keep doing it because it definitely needed something and I didn't know what. And then I did this amongst other things, but I feel like they're all kind of working towards the same goal here. So demonic, though. I'm embarrassed. But all together.
And if I stay, we'll end up in the same place anyway. And if you stay, we'll end up.
You want the chords and the lyrics to kind of marry one another here because they're both kind of telling the same story. When you do stuff like this with the production aspect of things, I think it's really cool. For example, the very last part of this bridge, the lyrics say something like, "Same goodbye, just delayed." And of course you got the a chord that fits with that, but I've also used the delay effect to convey that message.
Saying goodbye, just delayed, just delayed. With or without.
And of course, me loving kind of just having like punk sounding stuff, I couldn't help myself but to record this kind of like ad lib at the very end.
Yeah, 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 yeah. With or without, with or without, with or without. Yeah, with or without, with or without, with or without.
Melodyne using for the vocals, absolute must. And another thing that I use, I don't know if you can see how aligned these are, but it used to be that I would kind of cut up and slice up everything in a track and really get it kind of perfect on the grid. But having to do that for all the doubles, all the harmonies, all the background voices, it's a lot. Rather than doing all that, I'll show you the thing that I do. If you watch things like this, you might already know what this is. On the count of 3, we'll say it together. 1, 2, 3, vocal line. So first I hit the capture button here. This is capturing that top line, the one that I edited and tuned and sounds all nice. And then I take the following track, the overdub, and then I capture that. To take this track and align it so that it lines perfectly with this first track. And then you can listen to it.
I've become a fragile shell.
You can loosen it so that they're not exactly identical as far as timing.
I've become a fragile shell.
Or you can tighten it.
I've become a fragile shell.
These are minute differences, but sometimes that is the difference in how and what the feel is. So if you haven't worked with Vocaline, definitely give it a shot. I've gone from taking several hours of editing, not just that first track, but all of the following tracks to double and the background vocals, the oohs, ahs, all that stuff. This has really taken that process and really cut it down by a ton. If I were to unfold all of the tracks, this is kind of just what it looks like. All the keys, all of the guitars. We start off with like very intricate things happening in the instrument itself, but then I kind of start narrowing in on what this is. So now when I hide all of them under their group, I'll have drums, bass, keys, guitars, lead vocals, harmonies, background vocals on the faders in front of me. So that's how I like to do the mixing. The reason why I do that is I've been separating each kind of major task in the creation of the song. I had the songwriting aspect, which was its own separate thing. I didn't even have a DAW or Pro Tools opened up when we were writing. It was simply just talking about the themes, talking about what's happening in the story, and then writing the words, some of the melodies kind of on the keyboard or a guitar. Once we were done with that, we took it into the production phase where I built all of the elements here. Once I was done, I came in with fresh ears and I put my hands on the faders and I said, let's play this bad boy. And of course, I sent it to a buddy of mine for mastering. So there it is. That's my session. So what do you think? Am I doing too much or am I doing too little? If there's any other different ways that you want to see how I started a song, you can check out a video below here to see how I started a song with just using my phone. So what I want to do now is play this song from start to finish all the way through. And before we do that, I just want to say thank you so much for checking out this video. It means a lot to me that you're stopping by and checking this out. If you did like this video, comment, like, subscribe. I'll have more videos kind of like this in the future. Just let me know if there's anything that you'd like to dive in more deeply, and I'd be happy to do that as well.
Walking down the sidewalk, always narrow on two-way streets, like you knew the outcome, rolling out the carpet for just one me. You knew what I had to do, say goodbye to you. You knew what I had to do, live a life without you. You like to say it doesn't gotta be this way. I'll do what I have to, with or without, with or without, with or without, yeah, 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 with or without, with or without, with or without, yeah, 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 yeah. With or without you, I've become a fragile shell of my former living, breathing self. My body knew before my mind, standing in place, passing time. You knew what I had to do, say goodbye to you. You knew what I had to do, call me selfish, I chose myself. You like to say it doesn't gotta be this way. I'll do what I have to, with or without, with or without, with or without, yeah, 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 with or without, with or without, with or without, yeah, 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 with or without, with or without, with or without, yeah, 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 with or without, with or without, with or without, yeah, yeah. stay, we'll end up in the same place anyway. And if you stay, we'll end up in the same space anyway. Same decision, different day. Saying goodbye, just delayed. Just delayed. With or without, with or without, with or without, yeah, 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 yeah. With or without, with or without, with or without, yeah, 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 yeah. With or without, with or without, with or without, yeah, 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 yeah. With or without, with or without, with or without, yeah, 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 yeah.
Thank you again for stopping by, and we'll see you again on the next one.